Just finished up my Louis recovery, man. Shit's good. I swear to you, like I was looking at the ingredients, man, and I'm a big proponent of ginseng, man. I've just always it's something I've always used, and it works wonders for me. And literally, like I took it yesterday, and I felt 1,000 times better right after. But the taste, the way it fucking mixes, man.
Yeah.
Smooth. Yeah.
Cool. I recorded that, so you just got on a commercial, buddy. All right, thanks for tuning in to Lionheart Radio. I'm your host, Rick Alexander, founder of Louis Vuitton in San Diego, California. And today I am joined by Will Owens. Will, I was introduced to Will a while ago. Anybody that's been following this journey for a while knows that my two favorite things in this world are adventure and goodwill, and both of those things are free. I specifically like when you start to combine those things because in my life, I've seen where these human-powered expeditions have the opportunity to impact the world in a really great way. The reason I was introduced to Will is we had a buddy in common, and he said, hey, I've got this friend, Will. He's looking to run all the way across the country, leaps and bounds above anything that I've ever done. But I instantly was super excited to take the meeting, and we kind of hit it off. And we've been working together. We've had Will on the Endurance Hacker Method. And as we were talking pre-show, he's taken the supplements now and stuff like that. But when we start getting into this conversation, the mileage this guy's putting in, first of all, is just fucking ridiculous. And then on top of that, he's got a really cool story, and he's got a really important why, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the most important part of this entire journey. All of that to say, Will, thanks for being on today, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rick. It's an honor, man. Seriously, appreciate it.
So if we could take a step back for a little bit, why? Let's start with the biggest why in the room right now, the why that everybody is wondering. Why the hell are you going to run across the country?
For me, it's one that's definitely hits home. It's to continue to raise interest and awareness, as well as money for PTSD programs. Former Marine, as well as a contractor, security contractor, and I've lost a lot of buddies who have come home, and I've lost a lot of buddies who to the suicide and just couldn't get their lives back on track, and I found myself in that same predicament, and it's just something that's dear to my heart. So there's that aspect of it, and then also to me, endurance training, that pushing yourself, it's kind of healing, and in a way.
It is, man. There's something about running, specifically running really long distances. I think it's kind of the rhythm of your feet pounding. It's a very deep meditation, and it's very cathartic in a lot of ways, and it gives you time to work through all this shit in your head, right?
Definitely, yeah. It's everybody talks about it. It allows you to work through that darkness. If you can push through that, it strengthens your mental capacity. And just. Somebody said to me, it's like a dog. A dog's got energy, right? And if you don't let that dog get the energy out, it's going to come out one way or another. It's either going to come out in a good way or it's going to come out in a bad way. And for me, running is the way to release that energy.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I notice if I don't run constantly and I don't hit the gym constantly, I'm kind of a son of a bitch to be around. Right? Because it comes out bad. Yeah.
Definitely. Either, my mood swings are, I'm either like feel depressed or I feel just mad at the world. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
It's easy. Yeah. Running's the easiest way I've found, or the best way to get that out for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the human condition's weird, man, because humans, we act certain ways and we don't always know why we're acting that way. And that's a really weird thing, right? We have the ability to look at our own consciousness, and that's really fucking weird. And when you have something that can deal with a lot of these things, like, PTSD being one of them, when you have these kind of tools in your toolbox, you got to take advantage of them.
Definitely. Yeah.
So how long were you in the Marines?
So I was in the Marine Corps, little over 4 years. Nothing too exciting going on while I was in the Marine Corps. It was prior to 9/11. So I got out, didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just went back home, and luckily, I was really into fitness. And so myself and two other guys, we opened a gym, had that for a while. Where I come from is really close to the headquarters of Blackwater, now Academy. And 9/11 took place. Anyway, I had a friend who worked there. She was familiar with like what I had done in the Marine Corps, and they were putting together security teams to go overseas to provide protection to diplomats, and asked me if I'd be interested to go. And I kind of felt like it was my patriotic duty because I was debating whether to go back into the military after 9/11 because I just felt lost. There was something about the military, just that purpose.
Yeah. Right.
I get out and I just didn't know what to do with myself. So this opportunity presented itself. I jumped on it, and it was amazing. It took me places I didn't think I'd ever go. Kind of felt like I was back in the military for a bit. You had that camaraderie, doing dangerous things, which
anybody in the military can relate to, right?
Yeah. So I did that up until 2016 with different companies and just contracting overseas with on different contracts. And then I moved to San Diego. Wanted to start something new, get out of the security world, try something a little different. Just kind of jaded. And I had a buddy who was living in San Diego. Said, "Hey, come help me with my startup," and came out here. Fell in love with the place, and life was great. And then all of a sudden, his company was doing well, but I just couldn't stay on for the salary that we agreed upon, and so things started that stress started happening, and I didn't want to go back to contracting. So I was looking for jobs and in the real world, and that it got overwhelming. And then all the other stressors of life started happening. I was I was struggling, and then I started to find myself in some dark places. Friends that I had lost touch with just because of the nature of the job. I found out that they had had either died in duty or on duty, or through PTSD, suicide. Yeah. And it started hitting me more and more. And then I always tell someone, like, the biggest thing for me was survivor's guilt. There's this picture that I always carry with me. It's myself and three of my really good buddies, and all the guys in that picture died. Wow. And I survived, and it's like, why me, right? So all the stressors of life, the survivor's guilt, things started getting pretty tough. My network here, or my circle here, started to dwindle. A lot of buddies in the military, or several buddies in the military here, ended up getting sent back to the East Coast. And then I was in a relationship at the time. I screwed that up pretty badly. So, the ending of that relationship, and just, man, I just found myself in a dark place, and I was boozing it up, just doing all the things that I could do wrong, I was doing. And anyway, eventually I got the help I needed through a program called Saber Warrior, and I went through that program, and man, it changed my life on with everything, and in regards to like how I view things with survivor's guilt, the stressors of life, and just a lot of the trauma that I had seen. I was able to let go of. Things. So.
Yeah, man. I think, there's a lot of people listening that are probably in the military, and then there's a lot of people that aren't in the military. But, in life, we end up going through these seasons where the bottom just fucking falls out, man. And it's just chaos. Like, it's like everything is order. Everything is exactly. And then all of a sudden one thing happens and it's just like a catalyst to complete chaos. And when you're in that chaos, it's interesting because, a lot of people have faith to lean on. They have different things to lean on. But if you're this self-sufficient person that's been kind of making his way through the world for a certain amount of time, it's like, man, you don't fucking have anything at some point. And so these organizations, like you said, Save a Warrior is what they're called.
Yeah, that was the program I attended. Yeah, I mean, there are several that are out there, but I reached out to a lot of them. But Save a Warrior was the one that they got back to me in a pretty efficient manner. The cost, they said, hey, it's free. All you got to do is show up. So, there was some I looked at, it was $13,000 to $20,000. So that's, and then, and I was kind of like, I was at the last house on the block anyway. I was just like, all right, well, if this doesn't work, I'll figure out something, but at least it's a shot. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so what did they do? Like what, and just I'm thinking for people that are listening to this that might be going through a shit season of their own. I'm kind of in a shit season myself. What kind of things, like how did they start getting you on the right track?
Well, first of all, so it's a program designed, and all the alum or staff are veterans or first responders, and they've already been through the program. So they understand what you're going through. It's not, and they can relate in the real world as well. So it's not a psychiatrist or a psychologist that hasn't experienced the same things that you have. First thing to do is they meet up. We met up at Pepperdine University, and first day is just kind of getting to know each other, talking about the program a little bit, and then it's really talking about the hero's journey is what we talk about, and just like how everybody has a journey in life, and you can choose to take the journey, or you can take the call, or you can pass it on. But at some point, life's going to call you on that journey again, and so there's a lot of mythology, I guess, Jungian psychology involved in it, and which was really interesting to me, and it's kind of something I related to. But and there's equine training or equine therapy, high ropes courses, getting over some, releasing some of the fears, not so much the physical fears, but those fears that you don't want to deal with, whether it's addressing issues at home. And it just, the way they utilize the different courses there to help you to relate to the issues that you're going through. It's just a unique experience. A lot of ritual or tradition, shall I say? Burning, letting, writing down things and then burning it and letting it go. Getting rid of that guilt or whatever you're holding on to. A lot of those things. And just learn. I think the biggest factor too is learning that you're not alone.
Yeah.
That not just that somebody cares about you and is willing to help you, but all the things that you think that you're experiencing, somebody else has.
Right.
As well.
Right.
And I think when you realize that when you're more connected to the world and to the universe, it gives you more hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we evolved to be in tribes, right? I mean,
definitely.
I really like this idea that the first thing you kind of mentioned is looking at this archetypical, hero's journey, because it allows you to give perspective, and you can look at that, because I've looked at that hero's journey before, and you look at it and you're like, I'm right there. Like, I know where I am. It gives you that perspective. Whereas
Definitely.
when you're going through bad times, you get so caught up in your own head. It's hard to fucking,
oh man,
look around. It's hard to have any kind of perspective. So that's a really cool thing. Do you remember the hero's journey? Because I feel like I'd screw it up. It's like the call to adventure.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it written down somewhere. But yeah, it's the call to adventure, or you're answering the call,
Yeah,
refusal of the call. Oh man, let me see if I got it written down here.
I got it. So it's a call to adventure, and then supernatural aid. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And then threshold. And then what it does is it shows you the stages. So basically, after the call to adventure, and I'm going to try to explain this for the listeners.
Go ahead.
So after the call to adventure, it's kind of written in a circle, and at the very bottom of the circle is abyss, death and rebirth, and it kind of shows you that you have to go through that abyss, like you get lost in it, and it shows you different places along the way where helpers and mentors can help out and help get you there. But it shows you the fact that once you go through that abyss, that's also where your revelation happens and your transformation happens, and then atonement, and then you kind of return back up to that call to adventure. Is that what you had?
Completely. And what's interesting about it is that from my understanding, is that you have the hero's journey throughout your life, right? Like you have that continues, and it's like microcycles as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, you could be doing a hero's journey within a hero's journey to a certain expression.
Yeah, right. One of the way overused things in our society is like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But if you think about it, like as it relates to the hero's journey, it's like, literally, whatever you're struggling with, it will teach you something, and it's trying to teach you something, but you have to let it, and you have to not get lost in the chaos that's down in that abyss.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Exactly. and I think, and that's the bad thing is I think a lot of times, especially for veterans, I've experienced, we're so stoic and independent that a lot of times we won't allow anyone to help us when we're in that dark place, that abyss. And so we get stuck there for too long of a time.
Yeah. And then the other thing is too is with the veteran community specifically, because I notice it myself when I'm transitioning, and I think it's even independent of course there's traumas and things that happen while you're in the military, but independent of that, there's this fact that your call to adventure kept you very institutionalized, and there was a very linear path that you followed, and then when you transition out into the civilian world, you're back into chaos, right? Because that linear path no longer exists.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's funny because I'm always talking with people, and I'm like, yeah, I thrive in chaos, and yeah, I mean, in the chaos of the military, overseas world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I phenomenal. But come back, and you're in the real world,
right?
It's like, wow, what do I do?
Yeah. I have a friend who is a nurse, and she was in the Army for a while, and then she transitioned out, and I was looking at one of her posts, and she talked about how hard the transition was and how she felt lost. And I'm like, dude, this is a person who has a trade. Like, she just was doing it in the Army, and then now she's doing it in civilian. So you would think for her it would be like the most seamless transition. Sure. And it's just, there's something about it that's really difficult. And one of the other things I talk about on the show quite a bit is this fact that there's a lot of veterans charities, and a lot of them, unfortunately, in my opinion, miss the mark because they try to throw money at a problem. So it's really cool to hear that this one that you're supporting through your kind of adventure across the country is actually one that, not only hits the mark, but actually hit the mark for you.
Right. Yeah, no, totally. It blew me away. I mean, it was, and again, I don't know, just, I'm a voracious reader. So I Joseph Campbell growing up, and, Nietzsche and a lot of stuff that they talk about in Jungian psychology and stuff. I kind of already knew, and I was like, wow, I already know this, and I should be able to apply it. But now I'm seeing it in a different light. So it was eye opening in that way as well.
Right. Dude, you got to check out Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. I feel like he's the Jung of our generation.
All right.
Sold. Yeah, game changer. So you're raising money for other organizations as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, so my main goal is to do for Save a Warrior, Act of Valor, as well as Project Motive.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's PTSD is one that's right on the mark, but for me, or the highest priority. But I also there's so many good charities that are out there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And that's the challenge too. It's like how do you redirect your efforts to make the most impact, right?
right. And I think that a lot of times we get lost that it solely has to be. I think that a lot of the veteran charities or charities in general are interconnected in some way. Like for instance, there's the Mission Continues, Team Rubicon, and RWB are doing a Run for One. So I mean, like they're all separate charities, or organizations, but they're coming together and acting as one. And I think a lot of times we miss that. It's sometimes charities are competing against each other for some reason, and that loses the point of a charity.
Yeah, I noticed that there was another competing charity when we did our 100 Bikes or Bust over Christmas. We bought all these kids bicycles, and there was another charity that was mad that we were there as well. And I'm like, what do you care about you doing this, or do you care about this happening? Because I'm really stoked that you're here, right? Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yes.
This isn't the business world, man. Like, the winner is everybody in this situation. So,
Definitely.
that's definitely. So, all right, let's transition a little bit. How did you come across the idea that you would run across the country and that you would try to break the world record?
Well, okay. So I guess for me, it started when I was a kid. I remember seeing there was a show on Terry Fox, and Terry Fox was he was a runner who had his leg amputated because of cancer, and he decided he was going to run across Canada from east to west to raise money and awareness for cancer research. And I don't know. As a kid, I saw that and I was like, wow, that's like just inspiring. And so anyway, jump forward. It's just been one of those dreams to cross the country running. It started about like really coming together about 4 years ago. I just was like, I need to do this. And then when I moved back to the States, to San Diego, one of the guys I was telling you about in the picture that I always carry, he was the final guy to die, and at that moment I was like, I really need to get on board, and still kind of just pushing it off, but probably about 4 weeks before we met, I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm doing it. You can. I think in life, I think we kind of have that same mentality. It's like, you know what, just do it. Just jump off the cliff, and things will happen.
Figure it out.
Right? Yeah. And so I was like, I'm going to do this, and then everything just started falling into place. We met. I ended up going through Save a Warrior after we met, and then I met Eric Johnson at Trident Coffee, and he was like, hey man, let me help you. And just all these people started coming together and helping me. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And so for me, like the timeline was kind of, it goes back to symbology, right? For me, 47 was so when you go through Save a Warrior, it's called cohorts. I was the 47th cohort. So I was like, all right, well, let's do it in 47 days. And just for, like my Instagram tag, run 2 times 2 or 2x2 vets. So 22 guys a day. Plus that was the unit I was in the Marine Corps. So it just kind of like I was like, all right, 47 it is.
It's going for it. So when you looked up 47, you were like, oh, that's the world record.
Let's do it. Yeah. Like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. I mean, look, dude. It's I don't know that quote, and I'd butcher it if I tried to say it, but it's the one in the arena who counts, right? I mean,
that's it.
There's a million people that might want to judge from the sidelines, and they don't fucking matter. Like it's the guy that's marred with dust and pain, right?
It's it, and it's kind of like you talk about in Burn Your Couch, man. It's like, so many people, just like you said, there's so many people who they want to do certain things, but they just never get up and do it. And it's just like, hey, go
do
for
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand. It's like once that curiosity about trying that thing it's like a scab. Like you're like, eventually that bitch, you're picking it. Eventually it's coming up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, all right, that's a very daunting challenge. So, and I'm always excited about the process that people use to try to like start deconstructing and breaking down that challenge. I know that you're on the Endurance Hacker protocol for a lot of the lifting and stuff now, but how did you even begin? Like, well, okay, where do I begin training to do something this crazy?
Well, I've always been a runner. I won't say that I've always been an ultra marathon runner or ultra runner, but I've just, I did cross country in high school. I was okay, but I always realized that I could go faster, or excuse me, longer than all the other guys. And so distance has always been something I've been interested in, and just done it on my own. When I came up with this idea, I was like, I don't really know where to start. I'll look at all these training programs, and then I also spoke to Maggie Seymour, who is a female Marine who ran San Diego to Virginia Beach last year. And she did she did it in 100 days. And I was talking with her, and she was like, yeah, you're going to, I can give you all the advice in the world and listen to me, but don't listen to me. She's like, you're just going to figure it out on your own. And so I knew one thing was you've got to put time on your feet. Mm-hmm. So, running every day, just getting the body conditioned to that.
Yep.
I knew that was paramount. So I just started there, and then playing around with distances and kind of what worked for me. Then I just started breaking down the mileage in my head. And I think that was, once I started, I think when you can do that, when you can break down any task to the smallest level.
Yeah, right.
Then it becomes so much easier. So I was like, all right, well, it's roughly around 62 miles a day. So that's
100K.
I mean, that's only, all I got to do is 6 miles an hour, right? For 10 hours, that's 10 to 12 hours. That's not too bad. I can get that done. So yeah, that's how I started out.
Yeah. Dude, I'm just, as you're explaining it, I'm thinking about like, I raced this last Saturday, and I remember I only did a 50 miler, but I remember getting to,
did a 50 miler. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to the 50K aid station, and I think it was 6 hours, or I can't remember, but they were like, okay, cool. So you just got to run 5 miles an hour for the end. You'll be done in 10 hours. And I'm like, right, dude. Like, got it. I only got to run 5 miles. I understand what you're saying, but it fucking hurts, man.
Yeah. Oh, yes, dude.
So talking to you though, like we've kind of been keeping up on the training, and I'm trying to add input where I can, although I will admit this is way out of my swim lane. Right now you're putting in 120, you said 127 miles last week.
So actually, yeah, so sorry, I did 126 last week, and it was it wasn't, I mean, it was brutal, but it wasn't as brutal as I thought it would be. Like Sunday, the 11th, I did 18 miles, and then Monday I did 22. And again, for me, it's about consistently running every day and getting those miles in. And then Tuesday was like I dropped it down to 14, and then back up to 18 on Wednesday.
Yep.
Sorry, 22. Yeah, 18 on Wednesday, then 14, 22, and 18 to finish out the week. And then so like this week I hit Sunday with another 14, 22 on Monday, 18 on Tuesday, Wednesday 22, and today 18.
What kind of pace are you holding for these runs?
So that's been the biggest challenge for me. is getting a pace because I don't know, everything I do is like 110 miles an hour. So like slowing it, I know I have to slow it down, and it's come too because as I'm hitting all these, I'm slowing down because I'm just fucking tired, man.
Sure.
But yeah, I've roughly been trying to stay that pace of 6 miles per hour.
Okay. Yeah, just to feel it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about recovery. So from day to day. So one of the things I've heard in other people that have done these kind of transcontinental runs, and I've noticed it in myself kind of briefly when I ran for 4 days in a row. It's like there's a couple days where your body's like fighting it, and it's just like, stop fucking running, dude, stop fucking running. And then you hit a point where it just adjusts, and all of a sudden running just becomes the new normal, and your body just, right? So have you gone through that with this kind of mileage? And then what kind of recovery are you doing?
So last year before I like right when we met, I was hitting a lot of distance day to day, and so my body, I think, on the running aspect, it totally adapted very easily when I was hitting this mileage, but in keeping up with the strength part of the workouts has been a struggle, like getting it in. So the running, I think, came naturally for me. But then my brain's like, all right, I still have to hit the strength and do everything else, right? As far as recovery, man, it's a lot of cold showers.
Just using what you have, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Are you rolling out a lot?
I have been. I've been horrible at that.
Yeah.
But now that with Endurance Hacker and with going to Stay Classy, it's been paramount, and it's been fundamental. It's been a part of my fundamental workout is rolling and doing anything I can to relax the muscles.
Yeah. Honestly, the fact that you're putting in that mileage and kind of like, well, fucking so on your recovery, that fares well for you, man. Because if you think about, okay, so when you do the 47 days, you're looking at 434 miles a week. Are you...
Man, you just tricked me out. I'm like, I've never even thought of it in a week.
Are you taking days off? Are you doing, or with the 47 days and your particular mileage, is that 47 straight?
That's 47 straight. Yeah, it's fun. The other thing I found interesting was, when I was talking with Maggie, she was like, yeah, are you doing 47 straight? Or are you doing 6 days, a day off, or a day on, day off? How's it? And I was like, isn't it just 47 days straight? And she's like, no, you can do it.
Isn't it? It's fucking you, man. Okay.
It's like the dumb Marine mentality. I was like, I didn't know anything. Yeah. But no, so yeah, for me, it's 47 days straight.
Okay.
And, I mean, that's the goal.
I don't even know with that kind of abuse. Like, I don't even think an off day would fucking matter. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, I think your body just is like, all right, after 7 days, just get it done.
Yeah, like it either adjusts or it doesn't, right? I mean, I don't think you're not going to be like, all right, I ran 434 miles in 6 days. I'll just take 1 day off. All right, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not going to go that way. Like, you're just going to adjust or you're not, I think.
Yeah, it's, again, for me, like, somebody asked me, like, well, what if, something happens and you have to take a day off? Well, then I'll deal with it, right?
You adjust, right.
That's kind of the point of the story as well. It's like, this is my goal, right? Like, as with PTSD, this is the goal. And sometimes we have to let go of what we're trying to achieve, for a moment of time to get to the ultimate, to that ultimate goal.
Yeah. What's the current world record? Do you know?
I believe it is 51 days.
Okay. So you do have a couple days, worst case.
Yes.
That's cool. So let's talk about food. How are you eating everything in sight right now?
I am, man. I try to, I'm typically a ketogenic guy. But to me, I had to start adding in some carbs and
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
Yeah. So it's still paleo more than anything. But I won't lie, man. I do have a weakness for 7-Eleven taquitos. I shouldn't say that. But
Like what? That's awesome. Well, I'll be honest, like that's a good thing too, right? Because you're gonna have so many fucking 7-Eleven aid stations between.
Exactly.
In fact, taquitos are probably the only reliable fucking food source you'll have in 47 days.
Yes, I know I can get them anywhere. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's
I may
awesome.
be the spokesperson for 7-Eleven in a while, but
Yeah. If you guys are listening to this, my dude needs a sponsorship. That's awesome, dude. So, all right. The final question, and I try to ask every guest, and I know I didn't warn you with this, but I think you listen to the show, so maybe you'll pick it up.
Definitely.
All right, cool. The Lionheart kicker. If you could give blanket advice, guaranteed everybody in the world would hear it, and you could give this advice based on your military experience, your athletic journey, your hero's journey, whatever you think. What would you tell people?
Oh man, it's for me, it's kind of a combination of things. It's one, it's like Bukowski says, all in. If you're going to do something, go all in to do it. Don't let anybody persuade you differently. Listen to your heart, and just live life. Have fun, and don't fear taking a chance.
Yeah,
that's
I like this idea of going all in. I think people a lot of times say that they are, right? They flirt with the idea of going all in, but very rarely are we all in, right? Like with fitness, it's a perfect example, right? Like we say we work hard, we get up early, we work out, but then on Friday we go out, right? Or we're never like all in on the dream, right? And then when you do, that's when shit starts to happen. Like when you said I fucking committed, it's like all of a sudden you started meeting people and it's just the universe just figures it out for you, man.
That's it. That's the biggest. I don't want to get like philosophical, but I'm going to. I guess.
Do it.
I'm a total believer in the universe, whatever you want to call it, working for you.
Yeah.
It's just when you are that committed in your soul.
Yeah.
Stuff like all the signs are there. They're gonna, it opens up for you and things start to come to fruition.
Yeah, the world like reciprocates.
Yes.
So for people that are listening to this and they want to get involved and they want to donate, where do they do that?
So you can go to my website. That's run2x2.com.
Okay. Run2x2.com. And can they donate there as well?
Or excuse me, 2x2vets.com.
Okay.
And they can donate there as well, or on Instagram, and then I'll have a link to the webpage as well. And that's my handle is run2x2vets.
Awesome. And we'll definitely link all of that up in the show notes of this episode. So if you guys are driving your car, don't have to pull over right now. Just wait till you wait till you get where you're going, and then you can link it up and we can show you where to donate. When is this run going down?
So we're shooting we're stepping off May 1st from Imperial Beach Pier, and then arrive Virginia Beach Pier June 16th.
So that's right behind me right now. Like I'm on 12th Street, that's on 15th.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll celebrate. Hopefully there'll be somewhere to grab a beer or at least a slice of pizza, maybe some taquitos.
Dude, I'll get you a beer and a taquito, no problem. Also, too, I want to tell you this. On behalf of Lionheart Radio, we're going to donate $1,000 to your cause right now.
Hey, thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate that, man. Seriously, brother. It's an honor to have met you and to just be a part of this journey with you.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, cool.
Brother.
Thanks for listening to Lionheart Radio. I hope that the information from today's show will make you fitter, happier, and healthier. For the show notes of this episode and every episode, head to www.lionheartrad.io. Yep, just like Lionheart Radio. And please, if you have the time, head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us to know that we're on the right track in delivering you reliable information and value. As always, feedback is welcomed. If you have any comments on the show or would like to suggest a guest, send me an email at rick@luavive.com. That's LUAVIVE.com. nbsp.com. Thanks for your support, and we will see you next time.
Bitch, I feel good. Don't I look stupendous? My shine is so endless, and shit you can do to end this. Even when I'm dead, niggas still gon' bump that chip shit. Coke, white, Escalade on cinches for you dipshit. So you won't forget this. Midwest nigga be the coldest. Cleveland is